Hello everyone, I am Paolo from V Enthusiasts, and today I bring to you a Soul Silver Dragon standard deck profile. This card was released on the VR anime on episode 14. Upon the release of VBT-01, Soul Silver was commonly run with King of Knights Alfred because they were the most viable grade 3s for Royal Paladin during the time. Upon the release of VBT-03, the Soul Silver archetype got some support, mainly Palamedes, Bedivere, and K. With this new support, it allowed a pure Soul Silver Dragon deck, but Alfred was still more than usable. VEB-07 introduced the second variants of imaginary gifts, being Force, Axel, and Protect. Force 2 mainly benefited decks that were able to make large power columns, and Soul Saver was one of them. With the recent release of VBT-05, even more cards were released for Royal Paladin. Although it was mainly focused on Gancelot, Alfred, and Blaster Blade, the set still had some support for Soul Saver, and as a result, this archetype now has a lot of variety. Before I start, I want to mention that after the main deck profile, I'll be going over other alternatives or options for the deck. So if you're wondering why I didn't run a specific card, please wait until after the profile. This deck is mainly from my personal preference and convenience. And by convenience, I mean this. I want to run this card, but it's cheaper, so I run this one instead. Okay, maybe that's not necessarily the case, but it's something like that. Anyways, onto the profile. This is a Soul Saver deck, so obviously I'll be running 4 copies of Soul Saver Dragon. Its ability to give 15k to all units and be able to generate columns ranging from 50 to 100k is the exact reason why this deck exists. The second skill, in my opinion, is situational. If you're still trying to build Soul, then obviously you should go for it. But if you just use your Soul Blast or you're trying to finish off your opponent, I would suggest against it. Mainly because if you use the skill when you're attacking, there's a good chance that the top card is a trigger and that you would have just wasted that trigger, so I would suggest against it if you're attacking with your Soul Saver Full Blast. Next, I run 4 copies of Swordsman of the Explosive Flame Palamedes. In place, it allows you to Soul Charge, but this is one of the cards that allows you to generate those massive power columns, being able to gain 25,000 power each time Soul Saver is used. It's definitely a very good and solid support card, but my only issue is, if you ride this card over this, then you might be a little fucked. 4 copies of High Dog Breeder Akane. You want to get those Pongles to get the Soul Charge. It also generates a decent 21k column, or 26k if you're lucky, which is usable for rushing during grade 2, or just more pressure. Next, I run 4 copies of Blaster Blade. This is mainly to apply pressure during grade 2 turn, and there is another card I'd want to run, but I'm cheap, so yeah. Second skill is obviously situational, because you don't really want to Soul Blast too much, especially when you want that Soul saved for Soul Saver. Next is a card from the new set, 4 copies of Loading Angel. The skill requirement at first was tricky to me, but I realized that if you're having a Soul Saver turn, then you will most likely have a full field because you want to apply the full pressure with the plus 15k. Not only can you Soul Charge with this card, but it allows you to draw. And I think drawing is a little bit lacking in this deck. 4 copies of Pongal. We already discussed this earlier with Akane, you need that Soul Charge. Personally, I don't want to get the trigger when I'm Soul Charging with this card because I want the triggers to appear during a drive check and not to give plus 5k to this thing. 4 copies of Knight of Exemplary Sword Lucius. It's literally a charge and draw, modified reference. I would also run Pluck Enchanter, but both cards require you to get 2 cards in hand. For Lucius, you need a grade 3 and Lucius itself, and for Pluck Enchanter, you need Blaster Blade and Pluck Enchanter itself. I feel like their skill requirements are somewhat close to each other, so I'd rather just run Lucius instead. 4 copies of Indestructible Knight Arena, and since I'm already showing that I'm using grade 1 PG, I might as well show that I run 12 crit in this deck. Arena has a small additional skill at the bottom which I like, but the main question is why I run 12 crit. Put simply, I love crit pressure along with Force 2. And considering the amount of Soul Charge and drawing I do in this deck, I think running 12 crit is completely fine because you'll be drawing triggers a lot. Oh, and I run 4 heal. I don't think I have to mention that anymore. The main deck is basically over, but I guess I didn't mention my starter. Yeah, let's move on. But I noticed that the deck only had 49 cards, so I decided to run Knight Squire Allen. I chose Allen just because I want to have a little bit more benefit from calling cards. Now for deck alternatives or options. Along with Soul Saver, I did mention that there was also an Alfred build, and I will have to agree that the Alfred Soul Saver build is a little bit more consistent than a pure Soul Saver build. This is because you want Alfred as a ride target and then Soul Saver as a finisher, and that's what Soul Saver is. It's more of a finisher card rather than something you do each turn card. So basically what you do with KOK is that you ride it as a ride target, do a little bit of stuff with Blaster Blade, But if you ride Soul Saver instead, then you're just kinda stalling a turn rather than doing something during the turn. So if you have KOKs or even Alfred early, then go ahead and run it because it will make your deck a little bit more consistent. As for grade 2 lineup, honestly the only other grade 2 I can think of is Bedivere along with the K combo. This is because it allows you to rush during grade 2, especially if you have Blaster Blade with you. This mainly works if you're running a Alfred Soul Saver build, but it also works in a pure Soul Saver build. As for the grade 1 lineup, in my opinion this one has the most variety, especially if you have Blaster Blade in the deck. Earlier, I already mentioned Pluck Enchanter, which can be a replacement for Lucius, or if you want, you can run both of them at the same time if you intend to run 4 draws. Other cards that are worth noting are Tristan, if you really badly want to search at Blaster Blade. Other cards are also Allen and Marin. But Marin isn't run that much anymore, mainly because of the Counter Blast. So that's it for the deck profile. Please leave your comments down below if you have any opinions you want to say, or if you want anything improved in this deck. If there's other content you want to see, feel free to tell us as well. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.